I've been wanting to kick off the writer's blog for a little while, and I had no idea what to start it off with. And then I had this question popping out, like what's the one thing that all writers have in common? And it's the fact that none of us ever sit down and write. Like we have a big problem with that. So then I came up with the thought like how do I sit down and write when I don't feel like sitting down and actually doing it? So I'm gonna be discussing that. Hello, my name is Ro, I'm a writer, and I think this should be fun. I think every single one of us have gone through this stage in which we are just there like, okay, I have my ideas wrapped together. I'm ready. I want to sit down and write. And then we do not feel like actually sitting down and writing and putting anything on a page. Or maybe you sit down and try to do it and yet you're just there like, yeah, I'm not inspired to do this. So I want to talk a little bit about inspiration, and I want to talk about the problem of the muse, and this whole bunch of stuff that, I mean, like, I think that I have not heard any writer said that, they don't have a problem with inspiration or something like it. Because I don't know, when I talk with my friends, and they're like, wow, I want to write, but I have not an ounce of inspiration to do it. And I'm just even there like, why do you need inspiration? And this is something that I've actually thought about a lot. So, what is inspiration? Inspiration, defined by the dictionary, it is the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially to do something creative. So, it is a process. That is one thing that I want to pinpoint, especially. Things that are a process usually take more than one step. And I think that's probably one of the things that most people don't understand. Everybody thinks that just, I don't know, some magic falls from heaven and you're just there like, oh my god, yes, I'm writing 500 words a minute. That doesn't tend to happen. That's just not how it works. And then there's the problem of the muse, which is a person or personified force who is the source of inspiration for a creative artist. So, the problem with inspiration and a muse, like I said, I always hear people telling me I do not have inspiration. And I've often wondered about that, because I have not worked on inspiration for a long, long time. I mean, I do need my ideas, because of course, ideas come from inspiration, ideas are born there, but like that, they are a process. And I think that I understood that it was a process a long time ago, because I do plan a lot ahead before sitting down and writing. I plan in my head and I just go like, okay, I have a general idea of what I want to do. Then I can do it. There is this thing called pantsets and plotters, and I felt sort of like in the middle because I do outline my work, but I do a whole bunch of crap in the middle that it wasn't planned. So I can make it work both ways. Both ways. It works perfectly for me. So when it comes to inspiration, there came a moment in my life that I decided, okay, you don't need to be inspired to sit down and write, because if you're waiting to, I don't know, have this brutal force that just comes around and, I don't know, pokes you with a stick and tells you need to go and write, darling, you're probably never going to write, because you might feel inspired like twice a month. And twice a month is not a lot of writing being done, which is usually a problem. The first thing that I feel like somebody has to do is assume your muse has been on a bender. Now she's having a headache, she's hungover, and you're the one who has to poke her with the stick. She doesn't want to work, you cannot rely on her. And this is not gonna be fun because you're gonna waste a whole bunch of time doing that. So what to do when your muse doesn't want to cooperate, when your inspiration is like far away from you and you cannot find it, it's probably on another planet thinking about other stuff? So these are the things that I tend to do, to actually sit down and write. One of the first things I do is setting the mood. And setting the mood is pretty much, I don't know, taking myself out of my sadness or whatever I'm feeling in the moment and just, I don't know, putting on music and putting myself in a space in which I feel like, okay, we can do some work in here. I can work in any sort of a space. I mean, like, I can work with noise around me, I can work with music, I can work with complete silence. It doesn't matter. Maybe you're different in that regard, so you might need, I don't know, a different setting. You might feel like you need to be far more comfortable, So that's all right. Everybody has a different process for it. Just pick the one that works for you and that makes you feel like, oh my god, yes, this is the place in which I want to be to write, and that's great. The second thing I do is pretty much trying to wrap my head around the fact that probably inspiration is not gonna come, and my muse, like I said before, I cannot rely on her. So what is the thing that I have to do is just force myself to write. And this is the part in which, I don't know, I think that most of my friends, I've had conversations about this, and I was like, well, if you don't feel like writing, you only have to force yourself to do it, and they found it like, yeah, it's so easy to say and yet so hard to be done. And like, no, let me explain to you. I'm a perfectionist, so of course it's not like, oh my god, yes, I'm gonna sit down and write and just do anything, and do it perfectly. Especially because there's a lot of fear when you sit down and write, and you have a lot of high expectations about your own work, and you feel like, yeah, if I'm not doing it perfectly the first time around, probably this is not gonna be good, this is gonna be shit. And there are other steps in this that I want to talk about, but this is the first one. Like, you have to force yourself, even if you're not gonna be good, even if you're afraid that it's gonna suck. It's okay if it sucks. You have to make peace with it. It is easy to say, force yourself to sit down and write, but then it is hard to sit down and actually write, I mean, like, I feel like it is far more easier if you have an outline, and you know what you want to write next, I mean, like, if you have a general idea. If you're not the kind of person that does an outline, I think it can work the same way. You only have to have this general idea of what you want to happen, and just run with it and make it work however you please. Because you have to remember that this is your story. You should be having fun while writing it, you should be taking it anywhere you want it, literally. So how do I do this? I usually do this thing in which I just sit down. I don't know, if I'm like, if I really need a lot of grounding, I grab my notebook and I don't know, I put the name of the chapter for which I'm writing, and I start with bullshit. And I bullshit my way out of it. Basically, that's the main thing. Bullshitting your way out of it can still be hard. I understand that it is a hard thing to do, The other day I was having a rough time, like sitting down myself and forcing myself, and I started with the word no. No, this is not the way in which it works. Literally, I started that out with the idea, and then I fleshed out the entire character, like, because when you write something down, you generally start making questions about it. So you have questions and you have to answer them. So why is this not working, and how it should be working, And then you start fleshing it out, which is great, I think. So bullshitting your way out of it. Grab a word, whatever the word may be, and work around it. It's the best thing I can tell you to do, sincerely. It may not work for the best, and you might write a lot of crap, but that is okay. And that takes us to my other point, which is, you're gonna write shit, make peace with it. There is a lot of fear with writing, and everybody thinks that it has to be perfect on the first try, and it's never perfect on the first try, because it's mostly when you sit down and write a story for the first time, it's only your first draft. If you think that your first draft is going to be perfect, That's just being delusional, because it's never going to be, because there are going to be, I don't know, um, fails at characterization, fails at plotting, there are gonna be a whole bunch of plot holes. Your story, then you're gonna realize that your story had a peak, at one moment, and then it just went downhill. There's gonna be a whole bunch of stuff for you to fix. So yeah, you have to make peace with the fact that the first time you sit down and write, it's gonna be crappy. And it's okay that it's crappy, because you can work with it. The whole point of writing is that you have it written, If you have it written, you can work with that later, You can edit it, you can just revise it, You can send it to somebody and ask them, hey, is this working? What is missing? You can ask the question yourself. I will say that the main thing about writing is that you have to be really critical about your own work, Be confident about what you write, but don't think it's the best thing that you've written, because anything you write can always be improved. Be happy with the fact that you're writing it down, which is the hardest part actually. The rest is tedious, but it's easy to get by. So the rest is edition. Edition is my worst enemy. I mean, like, writer me is a lot of fun to be around, but editor me hates her, because she leaves a whole bunch of stuff inconclusive, and she puts a whole bunch of brackets telling you, later, explain this better, or stuff like that, and it's annoying, because I have to revise everything and go through it and just make it better, because writer me was feeling lazy. It happens a lot. But edition, even though it is, like I said, tedious, it has to be your best friend, because the best things that you're gonna put are gonna be in edition. Once you have everything written down, you can actually look at it in a different fashion, it is a different picture suddenly, because you already have the picture in there, and you only have to find a way to make it work, I don't know, putting a lot more life to it, I don't know, adding characters, adding dialogue, whatever happens. You have a scene, you can work around it. But if you have nothing because you haven't written it down yet, then what are you going to work with? So edition has to be your best friend. It is necessary. No writer saves themselves from editing, because if you don't do this, your story is gonna suck, because like I said, the best thing that you're gonna do, it's gonna happen in edition, And the last thing I wanted to say, you should be having fun. This is your story. Writing should always be fun. You have to be serious about it, but you don't have to be serious enough that it takes out all of the enjoyment from it. Because I feel like so many people get stressed out about writing, like I cannot sit down myself to write because I'm thinking about all of this stuff. And like, the main thing that you should be focusing on is just doing it, having a blast, and just being happy with the outcome. It doesn't matter if it's crap, you can make it better afterwards. Just sit down and write, because you're gonna feel great when you start from something really small, like I said it. You start from a simple word, you work your way around it. You start making questions and you start getting answers, and that's gonna make it's gonna feel really great, And that's the whole thing, that writing makes you feel great, and that it gives you a kind of freedom that you can pretty much only achieve when you're putting it down on paper. So that's it. So that has been it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Tell me in the comments, what are other ideas you think that would be nice to have on the vlog, because I would really like to, I don't know, just maybe answer some questions that you've got, or something like that. Next video, I'm going to probably be talking about outlines, because I feel like they are a thing that, I don't know, it's just really interesting. Everybody outlines in their own way. There are people who don't outline at all, and like, I'm always falling in the middle. So it feels kind of like a fun thing to do, and I kind of want to show you my outline for one of the novels I'm writing and how that works, and how I make it work, the things that I do when I outline things, and how much I bullshit my way into that outline, because I do a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Sometimes I don't even respect my own outline, and that happens. So I just probably gonna talk about that. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and seriously, leave your comment. I'm gonna be reading you, and that's gonna be great. And always remember to be positive, kind, and curious. That is my cue to leave. See you next time.